Welcome, everyone. Today I'm here with Eric Offenberger, the CEO of Vext Science, a vertically integrated cannabis and hemp company, to share a little bit more about their vision for the future and some other details about the company. Eric, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us.
It's such a pleasure, Eric. So excited to hear more from you and discuss a little bit more about Vext's story, your role as CEO, and some of the things you guys are working on. So let's jump right into the story. For those who don't know it, can you provide a quick intro to the Vext background and story itself, and kind of give us some background and a little bit of introduction there?
Sure. Vext is based in Arizona. We've been in the market in Arizona since 2013. We do conduct business in the Arizona market as Herbal Wellness Center for the dispensaries, and we support and promote the vape and brand concentrates and extracts. We are a profitable company and have operated profitably since 2016. We've expanded in the last couple of years with a joint venture strategy into other markets, with Arizona being our primary focus and our primary revenue source.
Terrific. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about that Arizona market then. Can you give us some specifics and more of an idea of the dynamics there and why you like it so much and why investors should be paying attention because of your interest in the Arizona market and your success there as a whole?
Well, we operate 2 dispensaries that gives us a vertical license for cultivation and the manufactured product. As I had mentioned earlier, the 2 dispensaries are doing business under the Herbal Wellness brand, and one of them has been open since 2013, and the other one we relocated in 2020 into the Phoenix metro on an acquisition of Organica. Both dispensaries are known for high quality. We do a good job with customer service. We really put our customers and patients first. The vape and brand has been in effect since 2014. It's in the majority of the dispensaries in Arizona. It's known for its quality, its consistency, its effectiveness, and our marketing strategy with that. With our indoor grows, we also have the ability for an outdoor grow in our Prescott facility, which gives us ample supply. So we can control our quality, which is really important to us. We do buy some product on the open market, but it's minimal in comparison to the total product we provide.
Okay, very interesting. Let's speak a little bit to MSOs here. As anyone in the cannabis and hemp industries or related therein knows, they're very big in this market. You have an interesting take on expansion outside of Arizona. Can you tell us about that strategy and why exactly are you going in that direction?
Well, for us, when we started looking at expanding it, it was really, a lot of people approaching us. So the cannabis space, we think, will stay in a decriminalized model, which means the states will operate independently to control themselves. A lot of states are using social equity licenses and that to try to expand themselves. For us, what happened was a lot of people were approaching us saying, look, we've got this cannabis license, we have some real estate, we have some understanding, we really don't know what to do. And they were in a different state. They had seen the social media presence of the vape and brand, and we've been very fortunate that a lot of influencers have found our brand, like our brand. We have never paid for that type of promotion, so it's been organic and natural. It's not been something we've, funneled to. That said, we started talking to them and said, well, we can provide expertise on SOPs. We can provide some working capital. We have the brand. We know what equipment to run. We know all these things because we've experienced it and we've learned, and the team's really good at that. But we didn't have a huge pile of capital. We've always been a bootstrap company, so when I talk about that we made profit since 2016, that's what we are. We're operators. My background's in manufacturing distribution. I've got 35 plus years in that arena for various and sundry companies, from Land O'Lakes into the steel industry. And that's what we know. The CEO and founder has been in real estate, been an entrepreneur his whole life and whole career. So we operate and do that. So we bootstrapped it. So we had to look at how do we expand with what we call a capital light approach. And joint ventures was the best way. Also, you might recognize that if I've been doing this for 35 years, I got a little bit of more experience or scars. And I never wanted to do another greenfield operation again in my life because they're always so tough on the human capital standpoint and finding people. With our joint venture strategy, it provides us somebody that actually has an economic stake in the business, in that market, and they're there. They know the community, they've resided in the community. They understand the dynamics, the politics, because let's face it, you're in a highly regulated area that has a lot of politics involved in it. So that really provided it for us. And we've been doing that for the last couple of years, and that's really provided some good opportunities. So if you notice in Ohio, we've now gone from just manufacturing to we're doing a retail operation. So that'll be the first expansion beyond Arizona for retail, where we have an economic interest in it. And we're really excited about that market. So we really look at Arizona and Ohio as being very similar markets, limited license, more of a controlled environment, decent population growth, nice attractiveness, and the retail store will be in Columbus, which we like that market. So that's how we've approached it versus a traditional MSO that's, done what I consider to be acquisition or created a tremendous amount of goodwill where they've bought an asset or whatever, or they've tried to create it on their own, and some of them have frankly stumbled.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, it takes us in a great direction there. I'd like to switch gears just a little bit and talk about some of the financial metrics and kind of the success for Vext as a whole, as we've seen so far. So you just reported Q4 earnings. Can you take us through a few details there? Take us through some of the wins that Vext has seen, and then some of the potential that we see reported out of those Q4 earnings from 2020.
Well, the biggest challenge for Vext, without getting into too much detail, other than what's in the financials, but Vext has to operate in Arizona where the dispensaries that we service we service them. They are operated as a not-for-profit. So Vext does not own them directly. We are an agent of theirs. So we have various ways that we actually provide service, provide support to them, but we cannot directly own cannabis. And that's part of a state regulation. Now, fortunately for us, that changes in 2021 where we'll be able to treat them as a for-profit, and it'll be a lot easier for the investor to understand how the model works. That said, if we look at third quarter, fourth quarter, we started seeing Vext come into its own with its secondary retail operation coming online and product growing. We also, in the fourth quarter of this year, had the vote that went favorable for adult use. That presented a little bit of a revenue push on Vext, where we had to switch our packaging for the Arizona market from a non-child resistant packaging to a child resistant packaging. That meant we didn't have the product to sell to the dispensaries in the fourth quarter. So our sales were a little bit softer in the fourth quarter versus the third quarter. But from an operating profit standpoint, our margins were higher because we weren't really doing a product. It was all services that we were providing at a higher margin. So from a profit standpoint, it was about the same on less days and stuff like that. So we were really happy about that. The real strength is that those items then transfer into the first quarter because you'll do the catch-up billing. The other thing I'd always point out is if you look at Vext's balance sheet, not only is the balance sheet funded well because of the investment community that's been supporting us, it also funds from the cash flow from operations. So we had a positive cash flow from operations last year, and we continue to operate and are very cognitive of what we do. Again, going back to the fact, if you're bootstrapping a company, guys, what we were doing was taking the profits of the company and expanding it as we did it. We weren't taking it in ownership or whatever, as far as large salaries or benefits or anything. We were putting it back into the business to grow the business, and we're seeing those benefits, continue to grow.
Perfect. Well, you really addressed my question about the balance sheet there as well, being cash flow positive and seeing some opportunities to continue growing there as well. Let's talk about the management team. In addition to your earnings and your positive balance sheet that have led you to this success, what does the management team do as far as growing this success and taking things along? And let's talk a little bit about you specifically as well. You mentioned your operating background, how that's helped you really put some things into place and come to kind of bring this thing to fruition. But why is that operating background such a strength here? And what do you feel are some of the key points that help you in this transition and moving things forward?
Well, let's start with the team because that's obviously more important than myself. But the team is really dynamic. They have a diverse background. The science in Vext is not just a marketing ploy or something along those lines. We do have a lot of PhD level science professionals that are involved. We have a THC research area where they're working on different delivery methods and that type of thing, ensuring that we have purity and quality and consistency, whether it's in the CBD arena or in the THC arena going across the multiple states. We have professional growers that have backgrounds in botany, the plant sciences, genetics, that type of stuff. So they really run their areas and their departments, and they set the direction for the company. On the retail side, we have people that have professionalism in retail and have always worked retail operations, not necessarily where they were highly educated in, supply chain management or retail management or something like that. They've actually worked their way up through a store where they understand the customer service aspect, not just the theory of it, but the actual, boots on the ground type of thing. And that really helps us on the retail. And I see that strength every day. So that team has really been great. The chairman and the founder, as I mentioned, was really smart. He's a good entrepreneur, but he recognized where his inability of growing the company was, and that's where he and I started developing a relationship over the last 3 years of how to help him. My background is I'm actually I'll come clean, I'm an accountant by education. I have a CPA certificate. I haven't practiced for 30 years. I got into manufacturing and distribution when I was at Land O'Lakes, and then went into the steel business for the last 25 or 26 years. And I've ran multi-state operations and within large companies that are, so I understand the reporting structure and stuff like that. That's been a benefit as we start to grow here, because a lot of the people in this industry, they've been in this industry, it's been in effect for 7 to 8 years. They might not have as much exposure to other industries or other disciplines. So it's really worked out well that way, that I can provide some mentoring and really helping them grow and get the structure in place so that it maximizes what it can do. And for me, that's really exciting. I mean, that's one of the best parts of my job every day, is to come here and do that. So we're excited about that. And we've seen that benefit too when we've expanded to other states. These guys really get what's going on. They understand the equipment. They can adapt to different environments, because, climates matter and stuff along those lines. So that's been really exciting. I've also ran companies as large as 400 million a year in sales. So I've got more of that exposure and that experience. And it's, again, I go back to the term, I'm excited. I think the business is great. What the people here do and contribute, it's a lot of excitement. And again, the cannabis industry and the cannabis space, coming from the steel industry that's really established and really, knows what it's doing and has all that, it's fun to be into something where we don't have a playbook every day. We don't have a do this and this is going to be the customer base. We have regulatory issues that are different, from one state to the next in compliance. So there's a lot of unique things that come up every day and every week. And I find that invigorating and exciting. So it's wonderful.
Well, terrific. Eric, your enthusiasm catches and is noted. It comes off and absolutely apparent that with great products, a fantastic management team, a strong balance sheet, cash flow positive, you have a lot of positive factors pushing you in the right direction and driving this significant progress. So, Eric, you're speaking to a very retail investor audience here, a massive audience from the Benzinga side. As we close, is there anything you would leave investors with, speaking to them specifically about the progress of Vext and what you see on the immediate horizon as we light the path for the future as we close out the interview?
Well, I think with Vext, the key is looking at the states that we really are focused on, which Arizona has just now gone to a recreational adult use market, which means its consumer base has grown dramatically. So you go from 350 to 400,000 potential customers to 7.4 million population. So the growth is there. It's definitely got that upward potential, as long as you stick with somebody that's got a known product, a known brand, understands how to operate the widget. I think that gives Vext a nice benefit, is we're focused on Arizona. So we have the potential to ride that up. We're not, spread out amongst multiple states. So we have that Arizona market. We have the brand. We'll continue to invest that. The other thing that we do is we continue to invest in technology and automation and processes. So, we're very focused on that efficiency and that delivering the product and making sure that we're always structured for a cost. The last thing I'll offer you on Arizona is that if you look at what Vext just did, we've acquired an additional grow facility to support that growth of the Arizona market. So we've picked up another 72,000 square foot building to build it out for cannabis in the Eloy area, and we see excitement. And Arizona continues to grow. I think all of you that watch this or pay attention see that the Arizona market continues to attract people. It's a growing economy. It continues to do it. There's $55 billion of semiconductor projects that will be going on in Arizona in the next few years, with Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing building a $35 million facility in Arizona to manufacture semiconductors, and Intel expanding $20 billion. So our population growth is going to continue in Arizona. Our valuation of our existing properties, and that's going to do nothing but increase. It's going to have more value to it. So I think that's the first key. The second thing is look at our expansion, which is in Ohio, where we've announced the retail dispensary, and we continue to expand there. We also see that as potential acquisition targets, or rolling those things into Vext in the future as we go. We already own the stake. You know, you can buy the other stake, and we've negotiated all of our agreements of right of first refusals and stuff.
Well, perfect. Eric Offenberger, CEO of Vext Science. Huge growth story here. Lots of potential, lots of driving factors, and cash flow positive. Eric, thank you so much for coming on Benzinga and sharing a few details about the exciting Vext story. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
You as well. Take care, Eric.